Hi, I'm the green screen that two drag queens talk in front of, Aiden, and this is the VG Punk channel. So for today, I thought it would be interesting to point out some of the bad points that the Vanguard community have in terms of the 7 deadly sin. And just a disclaimer before we continue, these are my opinions, so if you get butthurt about it, go do your own video. Now, as you already know, the 7 deadly sins are pride, greed, wrath, sloth, envy, lust, and gluttony. We never really had a deck dedicated to them, and before that deck ever been created, I'm gonna make this video not to come up with ideas for them, but just to relate some of the negative point that the Vanguard community have to those sins. So for pride, I think a perfect embodiment of this sin is actually Dragonic Overlord. Most people often say that Blaster Blade is like the poster child of Vanguard, but in my opinion, I think Overlord is the poster child. Every single time Blaster Blade come up, you see Overlord as well. And every time Kai appear anywhere, it's Overlord. It's really weird because guess who have an encounter card before Blaster Blade have it? It's Overlord. Fandom Blaster Dragon have it too, but he doesn't have as much fanboy as Overlord. Argue that with me in the comment section. But I think that Overlord, we have a little too much Overlord. I think he have one of the most different form off the top of my head. The Cross, the Purge, the End, the regular version, and then the remade Break Ride version. So many things. He have multiple decks dedicated to him in different form. There is so much of it, you know? And we don't need that much. Vanguard is certainly very, very prideful of their Dragonic Overlord. Sure, the design is nice and all, but we don't need that much different form. I'm glad we're moving on from it with the overdress era. We thought we escaped it, but here we are. Encounter card with Overlord as one of the first encounter card we ever seen. Now, for greed, it might be a little biased to me, but I think the perfect factor that fit into greed is actually the clan Mega Colony, because first of all, it's on theme because Mega Colony is mafia insect, so they're naturally greedy. From the beginning of the game till G era, Mega Colony have no idea what they want to do. They kinda stun the opponent stuff, but then they also call one of the most useful card in Mega Colony, call stuff out from soul. And then what in the G format, what is that card? Why am I blanking out right now? Dark Phase. Neuter the opponent when they summon stuff, and then Paralyze kinda relate to stunning. And then when Gradora come out, she take away resources. And then let's not start on V-Series. Mega Colony in V-Series is all over the place. Different mechanic here and there, and very, very rarely that any mechanic work together well. And that kind of fit into what I think greedy is. Like, they try to cover all their bases, which mean they're master of none. Master of none. They don't specialize in any. There's nothing they're good at, which make them really weak. Now, Wrath is talking about anger. One of the most triggering thing that causes a player to be angry is getting triggers on. But more specifically now, over trigger, because it's a one-off. And if the opponent hit that, no matter what happened, you'll be very pissed that they do. So we're not gonna talk about how over trigger is bad for the game, or if you're on the other side, good for the game, you know the argument. It's been there all day long, all months long, ever since it been announced. So I'm not gonna go into it, but on my stance, over trigger, it caused a lot of people to be very, very angry with the game and with the developer. I kind of want to see where they take over trigger from now on. They know it's a mistake now, but let's see what they're gonna do with that mistakes. Hopefully something good out of it. Okay, so the next one is sloth, and in my opinion, the factor that fit into the sloth the most is the entire V-Series. Let me explain. So from what I've heard, V-Series was under the development team that was notoriously bad because they were the development team for one of the worst mechanic in another game. When V-Series was still going on, they were the development team then. And I didn't see it at the time, but looking back at it now, it was really bad. Like, the design was kind of lazy and it was really uncreative until the end of V-Series. A lot of things get power creep very, very fast and very easy. Every single set that came out beat the previous set, not like just keeping it in check, but like completely push it out of the meta down a tier. Like the set that Overlord, Messiah, and Grand Gallop come in, it's completely beat out by the next set, and then I believe the next set after that is like Chronojet, Asha, and Altmile.
That is not correct. Because according to the encyclopedia...
Fact check me, please. But I know for sure the set where Luar came out for V-Series, he's like the top dog. And then the next set, Gurgwit pushed him down one tier, and then Gurgwit became the top dog. And like, the height of V-Series was very bad, and it keep on being worse and worse until Overdress was announced, and then V Collection was announced to try to fix the problem. But yeah, it all stemmed from the development team for V-Series being kind of lazy, in my opinion, because they just slap on more powerful skill to the card with less restriction, along with Imaginary Gift too. Now, moving on to everyone's favorite sin is lust. And for lust, it's something that is definitely the community, or more specifically, the player's fault. And that is waifu tax. You know exactly what I meant. The reason why a lot of cards with female arts on it is so much more expensive is purely because of waifu tax. No other game have I play or dabble in have this issue. Maybe Yu-Gi-Oh, but even they don't care about waifu tax that much. But for Vanguard, like, I see it so prominently. A good example of it is, I would say Lukier would be a pretty good example of it, because back when she came out, pretty good for what it did. And then Silverthorn came out, pretty good, and then move all the way to G era. Silverthorn didn't do anything until they got support, but Lukier was still expensive before the Rummy Labyrinth set because of waifu tax. The deck wasn't good, but it was still expensive. Same goes for a lot of Bermuda Triangle card, and don't get me started on Wedding SP. Those shit was crazy. You can deny almost everything in this video, but waifu tax is one of the worst things that Vanguard have attached to its name. I have never heard of waifu tax before Vanguard. While the next one is Envy, it's the one I have the most trouble with because I don't see a lot of jealousy in the community, because they have a card that you like, you could literally go online and find it and buy it for yourself, which is fine. But I kind of dig a little deeper in myself, mostly to find out what's one thing that caused envy in me, which probably in a lot of other people too, and that is a box opening video. First of all, the person opening the box have the actual box itself. Sure, buying single, it's always the better option, but sometimes you want to have that box opening experience. That's one thing to be jealous about, and the other thing to be jealous about is if the person pull a high rarity card and you manage to get that box and you didn't pull a high rarity card, that would make your blood boil. And I promise you, I have been through that, because I bought the set with Overlord, the Cross, and Messiah and Susano. I bought that set, and for the VR, I pulled Grand Gallop. I could have pulled anything else, but I pulled Grand Gallop. I fucking pull Grand Gallop. Anyway, yeah, so box opening caused a lot of envy to bubble up inside of somebody. Not to mention, a lot of Vanguard players is probably envious of the fact that Vanguard isn't one of the top 3 games. Anyway, now the last sin is gluttony, which means taking in more than you necessarily need. And there's a certain groups of cards that fit this description perfectly, and those are the cards that is causing trouble for the premium format at the moment. And that is the cards that are all, this card gain the effect of all ... Some example of it is the Stride for Dark Irregular. What's his name? Right here. Gastille. That's his name. While I love the idea of those cards, they could be problematic because you don't know what you're gonna print in the future. They could come back and bite you in the butt. Royal Paladin have one. I believe Shadow Paladin have one. Not sure about that. I know for sure Gastille and the Royal Paladin card could be an issue. Spike Brother have one. What's his name? Rising Nova. He might not be an issue now, but he could be an issue later if we manage to get some good Spike Brother card or Dark State card. Just saying. It's not like Spike Brother is an issue in premium, is it? But anyway, those cards have the effect to take more than necessary with very minimum restriction, in my opinion. So yeah, they fit perfectly in the gluttony section of the sin.
Cut the cameras. Deadass.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you could think of better things that you could fit in any of the sin that I listed, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. And also, tell me how you like this green screen thing. I may or may not put stuff back here, but I hope you like it. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment stuff below. Also remember to take care of yourself, and I'll be seeing you real soon, my love.